Hey, today we're going to be replacing the blower motor for the AC, the heater, on a 2021 Nissan Titan. All we need is the new blower motor. I ordered this from eBay new for about $80, and it's a Four Seasons brand. It's not just the random generic ones that sometimes are on eBay. I don't think they're usually that cheap, especially if you were to go locally, like to Napa. They're probably going to be a little bit more. But yeah, just do your research and you can find a decent one for a decent price, more than likely. In the way of tools, all you need is a screwdriver of some kind and a flashlight. A couple of the screws don't have a whole lot of clearance. If you're going to use a ratcheting or electric screwdriver, you're going to want to grab a 90 degree angle adapter here, or you can just grab a little stubby screwdriver so that you have enough clearance. So basically all we're going to do is we're going to unclip a wiring harness that isn't connected directly to the blower motor, but it's just kind of in the way a little bit. We're going to move that so that we can get the blower motor out. Then we're going to unclip the wiring harness that does go directly to the blower motor. And then we're going to unscrew the 3 screws for the blower motor. And then it's going to fall out in our hands and we're going to install the new one, and that's about it. So let me show you what we're going to do here. All right, so you can see here is this first wire harness that I mentioned. It's not connected directly, but it is going to be in our way. So you can see here I have it partly pulled out. We're just going to finish pulling that out so that it's not in the way. And almost all blower motors are down, regardless of make and model, are down below the glove box like this one. Sometimes you have to pull the glove box out. Sometimes you have to pull the carpet out so that you can get enough clearance and access, but I believe we can get this one out without doing either. So you see I pulled that connector out of the way. And now you can see the screws that we're going to remove. Actually, first we're going to remove this wiring harness connected to the blower motor. We want to remove this first so that when we unmount the screws, it's not just hanging by the wire harness. We're going to remove that first. You're just going to push in on the tab and pull the wiring harness out. So I'm going to push in right here, pull it out, and now we're going to remove this hose as well. There's no tabs or anything. You're just going to pull it off of there. Okay. We're almost all the way done removing this. All we have to do now is remove the screws. So we're going to remove this one back here in the back. You can see there's not a whole lot of clearance there, so that's why I was talking about the 90 degree angle adapter or a little mini stubby screwdriver. And then we're going to go right here to this one, and then we're going to go all the way underneath right here to that one. There's not a whole lot of clearance there either. So some of these blower motors have a screw in the middle, but that is part of the blower motor, so you typically don't need to unscrew that one. So I'm going to unscrew these 3 screws. Again, there's this one in the front right here, that one in the back, well I guess it's toward the front of the vehicle, and then this third one over here. So I'm going to unscrew those, and when I do, this blower motor is going to come out in my hand. Alright, so here's the old blower motor. It did wind up taking me a fair amount of manual effort to get this out, so I undid the 3 screws, but then it turned out that the carpet and the firewall here were kind of in the way, obstructing me from pulling it out. So I pulled this carpet back. In this case, it was just tucked in beside underneath this trim right here. You just pull it back out, and then you can stuff it back in when you're done. And then to get the old one out, what I wound up doing was just kind of working it out slowly from here where it was at. And then, so it's in there like this, right? Underneath the glove box. But to get it out, I kind of turned it on its side so that I could get it out this way, if that makes sense. And then it came right out. You can see that this one is kind of worn. That's actually my fault, because I was working on this maybe last year, and I was testing this blower motor, and I just had it out like this. Like I had it out from under the glove box just like this, but I had it connected, and I was trying to test the voltage to it and all that, and it accidentally hit something, I don't remember, so that's why you see some wear here. It wasn't because it was doing that on its own in there, it's because I made a mistake. But anyway, we're gonna put this one in, the new one, and we're gonna do it the same way as I took that one out. So I'm going to turn it on its side like this, and see if I can work it up in there. And then you can see that it has the holes for the screws here, and it did not come with screws, and I think the last one I replaced in another vehicle also did not come with screws. So make sure that you hold on to your old ones, don't lose them or get rid of them or whatever. So I'm gonna try to work this one up in there. Looks like there's little dust from the box, so maybe I'll clean that off first, and then we will get that installed. It looks like it's a little bit smaller of a fan, but the housing looks like it's the same size. So I'll get this one in there, and then we'll connect the harnesses back, connect the hose back, and we'll give it a try and see what happens. So I have this new one almost all the way back in there already. Because the diameter of the actual fan is a little bit smaller, it was way easier to get up there. Just a couple things to note before you mount it back with the screws. So remember, on this vehicle you have your hose up here, right there. There it is. So we need the hose that's on the blower motor to line up with this hose. So you can see right here. So when I slide that up, it'll be right next to the hose. And then we need the harness on the blower motor to line up with the harness for the truck. So we want it to go in there with those things aligned. We don't want this harness in the back. We don't want the hose in the back or in the front. We need them lined up with where they're at on the truck. All right. So I accidentally did what I told you not to, which is I accidentally lost that screw back there where I'm pointing to. It's back in here somewhere behind this carpet. I didn't feel like pulling the carpet out and digging it out, which is fine, but what you don't want to do is just ignore it, because yeah, sure, it can stay in there with 2 screws, but if you don't put that 3rd screw in, it's gonna start moving around, making a bunch of noise. So what I did is I just found a spare screw that fit. So now all we need to do is 3 things. We need to reattach this harness. This harness goes to the electrical on the truck. We're gonna plug it into this one, which is for the blower motor. So we're gonna do that real quick. See if I can do it one-handed. You should hear it click. can get it lined up with one here. Okay, you heard that click. Next, we're gonna plug this connector back in. See it right there? Remember, this was not connected to the actual blower motor. We just disconnected it so that it wouldn't be in the way. So we're gonna go ahead and snap that back together. There, you can see it. So we're just gonna plug that back in. The last thing that we need to do is just take this hose and we're just gonna connect it to the new blower motor, just like that. Make sure it's nice and snug on both ends, up here and down here. And depending on what vehicle you're doing this on, you may not have some of this stuff. Like the last one I did, it was on a Mazda, did not have this. At least it wasn't there in the way. But anyway, we put back everything that we took apart. You see that first screw in the back there, the second one, the third one. Importantly, we have our wiring harness. There it is. And everything else. The only other thing we need to do is put this carpet back where it was. So you can just shove it in there. And if you have any difficulty fitting it back in there, you can take like a butter knife or something that's not real sharp to kind of just push it back in there. This is just about where it was at. I might go back a little bit later and redo it. So now I'm gonna start the truck and we'll make sure it's working. All right, here we go. Let's see. Okay, so we see that it's on. I don't know if there's something I can show you. Maybe this post office receipt right here. You can see that it's blowing. You might be able to hear it. It's basically on low right now. We're gonna turn up the volume here, turn up the speed, I mean. It's about midway right now, and now we're gonna go all the way up. It's working. So that's it. Pretty quick, pretty easy. Dealer would probably charge you a few $100s for this, and all it cost was 80 bucks on eBay or Amazon or wherever you want to buy it from. So that's all. Thanks for watching.